I kind of want to keep doing what you were doing there. Like,
Those
all right, Legends Comic Cast. We're adding more sound, effects. That's what we do with your money.
So donate to PayPal. There's a link below.
Now.
All right, so I am your unapologetic host, Nick. With me, as always, is the beautiful, lovely, talented, most famous woman on Facebook, Garrett Gilmore,
What's up?
and the roguishly handsome, masculine, three-time world strongman champion, Rachel Freeman.
Hey guys.
Cool. So we're gonna do a quick video tonight.
You're not gonna
Quick.
introduce yourself?
I said my name. I was on there. Gah. All right, video's already over. Let's hang it up and start again.
Shut it down.
All right, so we're gonna do a quick discussion piece today on some new Aquaman stuff that came out. So Zack Snyder released a quick shot today on his Twitter page of Jason Momoa as Aquaman with the caption "Unite the Seven" on it, and looks pretty cool. So before we get into all the crazy, theories and all that fancy schmancy stuff, so this character is going to be Jason Momoa's interpretation of the character, Arthur, King of Atlantis, Aquaman, in the DC cinematic universe. So just first impressions, just before we get into any of the Batman, Superman stuff, what do you guys think?
Rachel, I'll let you go first.
Um,
I'll drink.
so that's good. Um, I mean, I like the photo. I think he looks really hardcore and intimidating. I did like that actor as Khal Drogo. I liked him in Game of Thrones. I don't know. I think he looks really, badass and intense, but at the same time, he doesn't really look like Aquaman. Um, he just looks really, really dark, and I'm interested to see where they go with his character, but I'm just really kind of 50-50 with it when I think about it.
I feel you.
What do you think, Garrick?
I think a lot of things about this. I was originally kind of angry about it, but then I calmed down. I thought things through. I thought about Heath Ledger, okay, for a little bit, and I thought about Grant Gustin and all those things that I was hating on, and then, they turned out to be great. So I'm going to take that approach. But right off the bat, I mean, the tattoos are kind of weird to me. I don't know if that's supposed to be like his armor, because you can see on which would be his right arm, basically his armor is the same design as his tattoos on his left. So I don't know if it's supposed to be like a whole piece later on, or if these tattoos are gonna stay. I'm not a big fan of the tattoos, but I do think he looks cool. I think he looks, like you said, like a badass, very fierce, and I think that's really what Aquaman needs, because he's been beaten and made fun of and the butt end of jokes since the dawn of time. And I think DC's really trying to just make him as cool and as intimidating and awesome as he actually is, and trying to show that to the public with the look right off the bat. I'm a little disappointed there's no orange. It's clearly gold plating, but I mean that could be changed in the movie. Can't really see his pants. I don't know if they're green or not. They kind of look green, but everything kind of looks like a gray mess. But I do think he looks cool. There are a few things I don't like. There are a few things I do like. But like I said earlier, off the stream, if you showed me this picture with no context, I didn't know Jason Momoa was going to be Aquaman. I didn't know there was an Aquaman movie coming out. You just showed me this and said this is Jason Momoa's new character in his new movie. I'll be like, that guy looks cool. No clue who he is, but he looks cool. So that's my only problem, is the character recognition. As far as that goes, they've done a pretty good job thus far. I mean, all they've had is Man of Steel. There are a lot of people complaining about that. I thought the suit was cool. Um, but Marvel does a really good job of portraying their characters how they should be and how they are in the comic books. And DC's just trying to do this whole meta thing where they don't want to look like copycats, but we already know they're copying what Marvel's doing. They're trying to build a franchise as fast as they can so they can get some of that, comic book movie money. Um,
So
they're just trying to do it the wrong way, I think. But that's just my opinion. I ranted. I'm sorry, guys.
no, you're fine. So I discussed this a little bit earlier today with a couple other different people, and I think that, and like I said before, this is going to be now it's on record because it's recorded. But I do feel that DC is making the right moves, and the reason I say that is because like you brought up earlier and I had brought up earlier in the day in different conversations that we'd been having is that Aquaman is a character that's perpetually been shit on by not only the mainstream, media, just any kind of coverage on Aquaman has pretty much typically always been a joke, whether it be Family Guy or whoever else is making a joke about him. Now, you know, I think even DC has kind of caught up to it and said, hey, look, we need to reinvent this character. We need to make him a character that people look at and view as a badass. And Jason Momoa's character as Khal Drogo in Game of Thrones was pretty much a badass. So I think with all the different things they're doing across the board, they kind of took a look at what Marvel was offering and they went a different way with it. So Marvel has, Iron Man, Hulk, Captain America, Black Widow, Thor, Hawkeye. That's the core Avengers lineup there. Those are all white people. Um, Basically, every single person on the Avengers is a white person. And now with Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck being Batman and Superman and Batman respectively, then you have Gal Gadot who's obviously Middle Eastern, and now you have Jason Momoa who's like a Pacific Islander and nationality. You have Ray Fisher who's going to be African American as Cyborg. You might eventually have John Stewart as an African American Green Lantern if the rumors that they're hyping up are going to be true. You might have a lot of different ethnicities in the Justice League, or you might end up with Hal Jordan or something like that. But regardless of that, I think that what DC is doing is they're taking the reverse approach to what Marvel did with Nick Fury. So they introduced Nick Fury in the comics as basically Samuel L. Jackson lookalike. They drew him in there to look like that because they knew he was going to be cast. So when everything worked out, he was naturally a shoe-in. Audiences recognized him as Nick Fury. The average moviegoer doesn't know that Nick Fury in the comics is an old white guy. To them, he's a cool, slick, badass, black dude like Samuel L. Jackson. And I think that's okay in this situation as well because, to be honest, the general public doesn't know anything about Aquaman. To them, he's always been a guy who talks to fish, but they have no idea what guys like Jeff Johns have done with the character. It made him like a real strong leader who's capable of basically ruling the entire ocean, which is 2/3 of the planet. So he's a pretty awesome character. Jason Momoa probably hasn't really had a huge acting career other than outside of Stargate and Game of Thrones, but I think he's an okay actor. He can definitely hang, and when you want him to play a brooding badass, I mean, that's his bread and butter, man. He's an intimidating looking guy. So I think if they're taking it in that direction, they're going to get what they want. And as long as the general movie-going public looks at that character and says, that dude is a badass, then they've done their job. Because eventually, I brought this up earlier in another conversation, within the next few months here, you're going to see in comic books Convergence is going to take place, which is basically supposed to like eradicate the New 52 continuity. I would not be surprised if at the end of the New 52 continuity, and pay attention to this next part because it's key to everything I've said, at the end of Convergence, there will be some kind of a new DC continuity. Aquaman will resemble Jason Momoa. And that's what I think is going to happen. In one way or another. They might maybe make his hair longer, give him a beard. They're going to do something to make him look more like Jason Momoa so that audiences recognize him going into the next 4 or 5 years of these films. So ultimately, I think DC, maybe to the comic book fanboys, the guys like us who sit back and get all butthurt whenever something changes, they might not be that, this might not be a pleasant change, but to the rest of the movie going cinematic world, I mean, they're getting something pretty cool, I think.
All right.
My rant was longer. I apologize
It
for
was
that.
a little longer than mine, yeah. It was like Rachel was like 30 seconds. I was like 2 minutes. Nick was like, we've been here for an hour, I think now. So
Yeah, basically. So let's do a real quick thing. So let's say if you could change, let's say one thing real quick that you like about what you're seeing here, just from this picture, and one thing that you dislike. So let's start with Garrick, just because Ray started last time.
Okay. One thing I do like, the Aquaman symbol on the belt. I'm actually gonna name a few things I like. Okay. The Aquaman
Damn, I didn't even
symbol
see that. I
on
didn't
the
even
belt.
see that.
It's coming through.
That is
And
sick. That's sick.
Jason Momoa, I like the beard. I like that as well. The tattoos
He's looking
are
like a
weird to me.
pirate.
Yeah, yeah. The tattoos are weird to me. And I don't like the hair because I'm gonna bring a picture up. You can take a look at this real quick, and then when this new picture comes up, you will realize he has like the same exact hair that Mickey Rourke had in Iron Man 2 when he played Whiplash, and it's just it's the same. I mean,
They even had thug tattoos the
yeah,
same way too.
yeah.
And a
So
pirate ship. Wait, hold on. Could this be some kind of connection between universes?
it's
No,
finally
probably
happening.
not. Probably not. I'm gonna sit back. I'm
Look,
speculating.
there's the scar under the right eye of Mickey Rourke, scar on the top right eye of Jason Momoa there. See?
Yeah, but Jason Momoa is natural.
Shut up. Anyway, I think the hair looks kind of goofy, but it might be the black and white. I mean, that could be blonde hair for all we know. But I think the black and white, the muddy, like dark pictures are getting kind of old. It's the same vein of the Batman picture we got before. You can't see anything really. So I'd wish they'd stop doing that because it's really stupid in my opinion. Just give us like a colored photo. What is the problem? Is this movie going to be black and white? So that's
Yeah,
that's I had a
It'd be great
few
if it was,
problems,
like
but
in ragtime,
yeah.
and then all the dialogue was on the screen, and it'd be
Yeah.
like Aquaman runs to the shore, and then it shows him running out there. All right, Ray, what's one thing that you really like and one thing that you really dislike?
Um,
You had all that time, and you're like, well, whatever, I don't know.
I like the nipple. that looks good.
um, I really like I mean, I know you compared it to Mickey Rourke, but honestly, I really like the hair for Aquaman because it looks, I don't know, he looks like he just came out of the ocean, like he wouldn't have smooth, perfectly brushed hair or anything like that. He would it just looks kind of, I don't know, it looks kind of what I would picture Aquaman.
Looks like a surfer dude, kind of, right?
Bro.
Yeah.
Like he got out of the ocean, and that's how his hair just is. So deal with it.
Are they dreadlocks or is this just
No,
like
it's just surfer hair, man.
Right,
He's like
okay.
Bodhi from Point
I
Break.
don't think it's dreadlocks, but it is all messy, and he's got the beard. I like the beard. I like that they're going with that. We've been seeing that lately in the comics. I like that, and I don't know, just the face and the neck up. I'm in like complete agreement with. I think that looks really good.
I like the Khal Drogo they're bringing in here.
Yeah, yeah.
The man
I guess
bun is missing though.
Yeah, I guess the thing that is kind of weird to me, I agree with Garrick on it. The tattoos are, I don't know if that's supposed to be a suit or if those are tattoos or what. And in this picture, it's just so hard to make out. But if that is tattoos, I see they're trying to go for the scaly look, but that's kind of weird because you'd think he'd just wear a suit, not tattoo himself up, because that's kind of weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see. But if they are tattoos, they look cool, but that just doesn't seem very Aquaman-ish in my opinion. So
Yeah, what tattoo parlors in the middle of the ocean? That's my question, okay?
yeah, and you're not supposed to get salt on that. That's a fresh wound. That would hurt really bad.
Or he was,
Guys,
I mean, he could have
I
been
think
born
you all
this
are
way.
focusing on the wrong thing. He's a badass.
I mean, we all
He
agree
rubs salt
about
in all
that.
of his wounds just to
All
prove a point.
all
All
right,
right,
Nick. So
so
without talking for a half hour, what are one thing you like and don't
wow,
like?
Listen, I just
can't believe we're
brought
gonna
up
cut me off.
the left picture I just brought up is what we all wanted, I think.
So I'm gonna do the reverse because you guys have both went like to dislike. I'm gonna go dislike to like. So
Okay.
things I dislike, I I dislike the fact, this isn't any one thing specific, but this whole picture and approach, this is something that I think I speak for a lot of comic book fans when I say I dislike the fact that Marvel or that DC doesn't trust their properties enough to try to remain a little bit more faithful to the source material and make it presentable in a way that audiences can reflect, to it. Now it's very brief because on the same token, the thing I really like about the picture is the exact opposite. I like the fact that they're willing to take a risk with this. I like the fact that um, he looks completely different, and in the consumer's eyes, moviegoers, and even in comic book fans' eyes, with the exception of the latest New 52, um, Jeff Johns run, Aquaman's kind of sucked and really hasn't had a big time to shine in the comic books. So I like the fact that they're trying to make him look like a badass. And if he's gonna walk out of the ocean and basically hang with, 6'3" Henry Cavill and bigger, Ben Affleck or however big those dudes are, he needs to look big. He needs to look intimidating, and he has to have a presence, or else he's just standing next to the two most recognized superheroes in the world, and he's going to be overshadowed. So I think they did a really good job of building an appearance for him that makes him look like a warrior. He looks like a Pacific Islander. He looks like a guy who basically crawled out of the sea ready to fuck shit up. So I'm pretty pumped. I think he's going to be cool. I was a little worried when I heard they casted Jason Momoa for this role because he's so different than the Aquaman in the comics. But overall, I'm pumped. I think it's going to be good, and Zack Snyder is basically a couple notches above Michael Bay in my book of directors. But somehow I feel like maybe something like this kind of reaffirms a little bit of faith, like he's going to be able to get it done. So we'll see how it goes.
One thing going off what you said just a second ago, Nick, about uh, Henry Cavill being like a huge dude and Ben Affleck 6'4", or however big he is, and Jason Momoa being a giant guy as
Yeah.
well. If they throw Jon Stewart in there, that I'm assuming they're going to get a large man to play Jon Stewart. He's traditionally been large, and the Justice League's going to be a bunch of huge dudes, and then you're going to have Ezra Miller just running around,
Yeah.
and I think
Yeah,
that
Ezra Miller's a tiny guy.
yeah, I think that'll be
I'm not even 100% sure that Ezra Miller has hit puberty yet.
it's
We're going to reach out to our sources for that, and we'll get back to you on the next video.
yeah, it's questionable.
But yeah, anywho, so this is one of the first of our our shorter videos that we're going to start putting out. So, the last few minutes here, let us know what you guys think about something like this, because we try to get dialogue going with anybody about any kind of topic that's going on. This has obviously polarized a lot of comic book fans. So if you have the time, drop us a line. Let us know what you guys think. Do you like the way he looks? Do you think it's stupid? Do you think DC is taking too big of a risk? Do you think they're not taking a big enough risk? Do you think Aquaman even belongs in the Justice League? Let us know in the comments section, or whatever you want to do. Don't. That's fine. Either way, I'm not your mom. I'm not gonna tell you what to do. That's it. Cool. All right, so this is the Legends Comic Cast saying thank you guys for listening, and support your local comic book store. Saying local comic